just so proud to be able to come down and talk to you about what we're fighting. The Miners Protection Act is something basically that is, it's a challenge that we've got, and how do we ever get here? And if you know the history of what we're dealing with, back at the turn of the century, going into the 20th century, coal, if it wasn't for coal, you wouldn't have the country you have today. Unfortunately, few people know their history anymore. There's few kids that are taught how they have the most wonderful country in the world, but basically the only superpower left in the world. They don't know how it came. I don't know if they just thought by osmosis that the United States of America was always the great country it is, big and powerful, superpower. We weren't. We weren't that. We grew into that. And you know what took us there? Domestic energy. It was the energy that we had in this country that we were able to basically mine, to harvest, to be able to use, that built the guns, that built the ships, that basically built the industrial might, built the factory. We did everything. So everything, this little state, and it gives me a chance. The last 2 or 3 years we've been fighting to get our permanent miners' health care benefits and pensions codified. We've been trying to get that codified. They've just been piecemealing it. 3 months at a time, 4 months. It's inhumane what has happened. I have spoken to Mitch McConnell about this. I says, Mitch, this is wrong. You don't do this to people. You just don't treat them that way. I said, can you imagine a person that basically their health care is all they've got to hang on to right now, and they're getting a notice with a 90-day cutoff, and you're going to give them another 4-month extension, and you think you've done something great? So basically, you give it the extension in December. By the end of January, 1st of February, you're getting notices again. You're going to be cut off in April. I said, you don't treat anybody. You don't treat your enemies that way, let alone your friends. So in 1946, John L. Lewis goes to Washington and says, we're going to strike all the miners. Now, if you were a miner in 1946, you belonged to the UMWA. If you mine coal, you were So I got to get this to the thickheads today, because they're saying, well, we want to help, but we've got to help all. I said, I want to help all miners. I want to help non-union miners. But we've got an obligation and fulfillment, and we've got a piece of legislation that says these miners in 1946 have the covenants with the President of the United States. That's exactly, keep that promise, and that's exactly what it is. They don't know. They really don't know. And what it did, he says basically, after World War II, if the mines would have shut down, the economy would have collapsed. They had to keep the mines open, and Harry Truman knew that. And Krugman, at the time I think was a senator, basically wrote a piece of legislation, and they said, oh yeah, but all the miners are going to get bailed out by the taxpayers. We never asked for 1 penny from a taxpayer, not 1 penny. We just said for every lump of coal, every ton of coal, X amount of money be set aside to pay for our pension and our health care. And that was always negotiated. Every contract you negotiated, that was in your negotiation. So basically through binding arbitration, through a piece of legislation, that's how it was paid for. Up into the 1980s. Guess what happened in the 80s? Bankruptcy laws by Washington, D.C. Legislators, congressmen and senators passed bankruptcy laws that allowed companies to declare bankruptcy and walk away from their obligation and their legacy costs. Then we go upside down again. Now fast forward to 2007. The 74 plan, we had basically the pension plan was in pretty good shape. We had it pretty well funded. It collapses. How long did it take them to bail out Wall Street? They started working the same night that basically the crash happened. I said, if you can bail out one street in 1 day, can't you at least take care of the obligation you made to United Mine Workers of America? Can't you at least take care of the people that basically gave you the country you have today? That's the fight that we've taken, and we've gotten a lot of help on both sides. Got every Democrat to sign on to it, 48. Had 15, and Shelley's helped me, we have 14, 15 different Republicans. We could pass the bill if Mitch McConnell put it on the agenda. Well, and Mitch basically, this last December, as you know, I threatened to shut down the government, and I would have. I said, if we can't shut down for working people, then there's no reason for us to be here. If we can't take care of people. So we have moved him a little bit. We moved him from the standpoint to where we got the 4-month extension, and he's come out openly and says, I will support health care. And I truly, with all my heart, will have that done before April's finished. We'll have the permanent health care, so you don't have to worry about your health care anymore. I believe that with all of my heart and soul. If not, we will shut it down. The only thing I'm asking for now is I'm saying, why do you want to piece it? Why do you want to do health care and not do our pensions? Which the pensions are starting down a slippery slope. Every year that we don't start taking care and putting money back in that pension plan, basically it's going to get harder and harder to bail out. By 2021, 2022, and definitely by 2023, we're going to be in horrific shape. And we're going to be in worse shape than we are right now with the health care plan. We're trying to do that. Now let me tell you where the money's coming from. We had to have a pay for. Pay for means that, okay, you want to do something, how are you going to pay for it? No different than how you run your life. So we have AML, abandoned mine land money. We're taking the excess money. We're not taking the money it takes to reclaim. We're taking excess money in that account, putting that towards shoring up our pension and our health care. So it's still coal money, coal mine money, paying for coal miners. Now we have the western states fighting this because they want to use the money for everything but reclamation. And I said, and I told Mike Enzi and some of my friends, the Republican friends from home, I said, guys, listen. These are the people that basically gave us the country we have. And now you're saying, now you're mining coal in Wyoming, but you want to keep every penny that you mine and not help the people that basically given you the opportunity. So that's what we're working on now. If we can get past that, we can get the pension down too. That's what we're trying to do and work through that. But I just want you to know there's no one going to give up on this in no way, shape, or form. The other thing I want to talk about is the drug addiction that we have in our country, the drug addiction we have in our state. There's not one of us sitting in this room doesn't have someone, and me included, in our immediate family, extended family, or close friend hasn't been affected. Whether it's illegal prescription drugs or illegal drugs, heroin, fentanyl, cocaine, whatever. This is something that we have to basically fight and win. If not, we're losing a whole generation. Families are being destroyed, economies are being destroyed, communities everywhere you look. And it's the greatest killer we have in West Virginia. 818 West Virginians died last year of overdose. It's unacceptable. So I've had bills there. I can't give people, I got no treatment. Let me give you a perfect example. 20 years ago, I was as guilty as everybody that's old enough to have been involved in politics around for long enough. We thought, boy, if you're fooling with drugs, you're a criminal, we're putting you in jail. Well, guess what? We put them in jail for 20 years, they come back out. Obviously, they're worse shape than they went in. We never cured anybody. Now we've become understanding, I have understood, it's an illness. If you're sick, you want to go get treatment. Guess what? We got no treatment centers. When I've got parents begging me, I hope my son or my daughter gets arrested. If they get arrested and get a conviction, I can get them in the drug court. I can't afford to send them anywhere else, and I can't find a treatment center. So I said, fine, we can't pay for a treatment center, the state's broke, everybody's broke, country doesn't, I said, why don't we charge, we call it a lifeboat bill. 1 penny per milligram. Let me charge the manufacturers that produce all this stuff 1 penny for every milligram that they produce, and let me take that money and build treatment centers around this country. We'll have one in every community in West Virginia because we need it that badly. That 1 penny, you know how much that 1 penny produces every year? $1.5 to $2 billion a year. That's how addictive. This, the United States of America, we make up 4.6% of the population of the world. 4.6% of the population is in the United States of America. We consume 80% of all opiate drugs produced in the world. 80% is consumed in this country. How in the heck did we become so addicted? How did we become so dependent? Someone's asked me, says, why is West Virginia? I said, well, I can tell you first of all, we've done the heavy lifting. We do the mining, manufacturing. We do all the heavy work. So if a person gets injured, they trust their doctor. So doctors give them a prescription before you know, oh, they're addicted. They're addicted and they continue. So this goes all the way back to the federal government putting product on the market, the DEA letting it be dispensed, the doctors not knowing what the hell they're doing, and basically giving you more than what you ever needed. They'll give you 50 Oxycontin for a toothache. They're crazy. And this is what we said. So we're clamping down on all this. It's got to change.